Hello world, welcome back to my channel. My name's Paul. Janet's studying again, so I'm just going to go and pick up Mark and we're going to do a bit of a pub crawl of some of Perth's historic pubs. Now, I've told you how Perth has knocked down a lot of its history, a lot of its old buildings, but the pubs are the ones, well, some of them are the ones that have survived. So there's a lot of them to show you, but today we're just going to go and show you the ones that have had a big part in my life. But for now, let's roll the intro. And our first pub for the day, this is the left bank. If we look around here, this is the new Fremantle Bridge, the old one in the distance. Mark and I used to jump off this bridge, swim over here and have a beer when we were young blokes. Amazing old building. It was built in 1889 by Thomas Carroll, the boat builder, and it changed hands a couple of times until 1970. The Metropolitan Regional Planning Authority bought it and they let it fall to bits. So when we were young teenagers, this was the local haunted house. We'd all come out here and hang out and pretend we saw ghosts and things, but then in 1981 Alexander Risco leased it to put in an art gallery, but he ran out of money, and in 1991 the Clough Engineering Group bought it, made it into the Left Bank Hotel, and now it's one of Perth's more popular pubs. Always packed. It's 11 o'clock in the morning now and there's already people in there drinking. Behind me here, that's the National Hotel. It was originally built as a general store in 1868. This is the main Fremantle Mall here, so this is right in the middle of Fremantle. You've got the coffee strip up here. Yeah, so that was originally built as a general store. Then in the mid-1880s, the National Bank took it over, and in 1886, it became the National Hotel, and it's been running as a hotel ever since. But in the early 2000s, they shut it for renovation, and a couple of kids were camped upstairs, lit a campfire, and the place was gutted. But they managed to save it. Beautiful, beautiful old building. Now, we're at the rooftop bar at the National. This must be fairly new because in my whole life I've never seen it before, but look at this view, guys. I'll put the drone up so you can see it properly. Got the harbour over there, fishing boat harbour over here. Amazing. And behind us over here, that's the Leopold Hotel. We're getting closer to where I was brought up now, so this was a big part of my teenage years, early 20s, whenever I was in Perth, when I wasn't travelling. It was built in 1907, they put a bit of paint on it, but you can still see it's an old building, beautiful old building, runs right up the back there. But what they're famous for is this used to be where AC/DC, the band, used to drink. And the song Highway to Hell was written about here to Fremantle, where Bon Scott would fall out of this pub so drunk, and it was a highway to hell trying to make it back to Fremantle still alive. So yes, that's what this pub's famous for, AC/DC. And for those of you who don't know who AC/DC is and have never heard the song Highway to Hell, you must have lived under a rock all your life, but I'll put a link in the description. You'll be able to check it out for yourselves. We are at the Raffles Hotel. I spent my youth here. This was our pub when we were kids. We used to swim around the bridge, jump off the bridge, but yeah, as teenagers, early 20s, this was our pub. I saw the Angels here, I saw the Divinals here. I actually met Chrissy Amphlett briefly. In the early 2000s, they were going to knock the whole thing down to build this monstrosity here, but there was a big group called the Save the Raffles group, and they managed to save the facade. And the original pub was built in 1886, but this one was built in 1937, And this was the beginning of the Great Eastern Highway. This is Canning Highway here. This is where everyone would start off to drive to Sydney or Adelaide. And in those days it was a big trek. It was all dirt roads. So we're just discussing how much this has changed. I'm saying the actual facade and walls and everything have changed. They've just done it up, but this is a lot different than when we were kids. This place used to be, I wouldn't say a shithole, but it wasn't posh like it is now.
It was an original.
Yeah. And
it was born about 30 years before we were.
So behind me is the Como Hotel. This one was built in 1939, and because it's a bit younger than the others, in its day it was the modernest, flashest hotel in Perth. It really had a big reputation. Mark used to have a house around the corner, so we spent a lot of time getting smashed in here. My dad used to leave us kids in the car with a can of Coke and a packet of chips while he went in and had a few drinks with his mates. But that was quite common back then. If you saw a kid in the car now, you'd call the police, but back then there were so many of us, we'd all hang out in the car park, muck around until Dad was finished. The Como Hotel. And if you remember in the Day Out in Perth video, I showed you the Perth Mint. Well, that's the Mint right here. And if we turn around here, this is the Grosvenor Hotel. I used to have a flat just around the corner when I was 16. And this was a rough ass pub back in those days, but now it's really quite a nice hotel. This building was built in 1886, and it is believed this is the longest running pub in Perth. The oldest running pub in Perth. Well, you know what I mean. This one's a Great Western Hotel. Well, they call it the Brass Monkey now, but it's always been the Great Western. In the 1890s, when the gold rush happened in WA, it was 1896 they put in the Perth train station over here, and they built this. This was the first pub in the area. This and the old Melbourne and the Brisbane, these were the three main pubs of Perth, but this one, the train station's right there. So this is where everyone would get off the train after Kalgoorlie and either drown their sorrows or spend their gold money. And the last one for the day, this is the Hotel Northbridge. What an amazing old building this one is. Now, this was built in 1898, and if you remember in the road trip Esperance to Kalgoorlie video, we stopped at Widgiemooltha Roadhouse and I told you about the Golden Eagle Nugget. Well, the guys that found the Golden Eagle Nugget spent the money building this pub. So, well, not all of it, because it was the equivalent of $2 million nowadays, but they spent a big amount of their £11,000 building this. Amazing old building. And this used to be the part of Perth where all the prostitutes hung out. This used to be a really bad part of Perth, and it's not anymore, but back in our day we used to have a house just down the road here, and it's got rubbish drunk right here many times. And guys, I just realised I've forgotten to give you any code words today. So we'll make just one code word for this video. We'll make it pubs. P-U-B-S, the theme of today's video. That was an okay day. I'd rather be travelling, but we will be travelling next week. Janet's finished studying, so we'll be off to Albany. Sorry I forgot to give you all the code words, guys, but as I said at the Hotel Northbridge, we'll just do one code word in this video, and that is pubs, P-U-B-S. For those who don't know how to enter the competition to win the Mavic Mini, I'll put a link up there to the video with all the rules. If you haven't subscribed yet, guys, hit the Mad Dog icon up there or the subscribe button down below. Give me a big thumbs up, share this video everywhere you can, and we'll see you in the next one. Travelling again. Woo.